And there's this one story which I'll tell you very quickly. We were travelling together in Nigeria. Nigeria, there are many Anglicans, loads of them. And we were in the car, and they were pressing on the side of the car. And enterprising Nigerians had set up little stalls by the side of the road. And they were selling caps and all sorts of things. As we were going along, the Archbishop looked through the window. He said, "God heavens, look at that." And there was a little stall, and the enterprising stallholder had got balloons, and on the balloon was the face of the Archbishop of Canterbury. And he got a slogan beneath it which said, "Support the Anglican Communion and blow up the Archbishop of Canterbury." I was talking to the police here tonight. I didn't realise that the cathedral had their own police force, and it's very nice to see them here. Anyway, quick background. My experience of negotiating for the release of hostages goes back many years to the time of General Emmaus, when, for the first time in my life, I witnessed the most terrible atrocities and had to negotiate with him for the release of some of my colleagues who were captured. Janani Lumumba was an African Archbishop of Uganda, and he protested constantly about the atrocities, and he was murdered. And as were many of my colleagues. One thing I took away from that experience, and that is, when law and order in any society breaks down, all hell breaks loose. Doesn't matter whether it's Uganda or South America or wherever it may be. And the Ugandans, generally speaking, are delightful people. We had very good friends there. But when law and order breaks, the whole society goes to pieces. And to be honest, we're beginning to see a little of that in this country at the moment, with some of the events that are taking place. I went on to negotiate for the release of hostages in Iran at the time of the Iranian Revolution, got into the Evin prison to enable Jean Waddell to be released. Bishop Dakani Tafti was bishop in those days. His daughter, who was a little girl when I knew her, is now a bishop in this country. She became ordained. In Libya with Colonel Gaddafi, meeting Colonel Gaddafi face to face, and in Beirut, where I was captured. One word about that. No one can do that sort of work without facing the fact that you might be killed or captured. And if you are, then you take your own responsibility. No one has forced you to do that job. The Archbishop certainly didn't force me to do that job. One did it for reasons of the fact that families came to Lambeth and asked for help and support, and we tried to give it as best we could. But I was captured and spent almost 5 years in solitary confinement, which I'm quite happy to talk about as we proceed this evening.
Out of my depth a little bit. I was a captive for a long time, deservedly so. But let's talk about that, because you know what does captivity mean? I mean, Terry, you have a perspective on it because of what happened to you. And my perspective is really about how we think about our prisons in this country. Because I was in prison in this country for 20 years, deserved to go there, deserved all that was coming to me. Never expected one day to be somebody fit to sit here next to this man here. In prison, they called me Big Jim. I hated Erwin because it was such an unusual name. It caused a lot of stress outside. So in prison, I became James, Big Jim. And I often thought if Terry was in prison, he'd be Giant T. Because he's such a giant in so many different ways. He's a giant of man. But the thing is, how we treat people in our prisons today. We have an attitude towards the people in our prisons that is undermining the possibilities of their succeeding after prison.
Erwin, when I first heard you speak at an Emmaus conference, it was an Emmaus conference, I was tremendously impressed by the story you told of your background. You say you didn't deserve to be there.
No, I did deserve.
Well, you say you did deserve. I beg your pardon. You said you did deserve to be there. But
The jury thought I deserved
well, the route that took you there.
Well, the route that took me to this area was a route similar. Now, it's a complicated route, and I don't mind talking about this only because so many people in our prisons could tell you the same or similar story. There's no excuse for crime. Okay, I'm not an apologist for criminals, murderers, rapists, paedophiles, muggers, burglars. What do you want to? We label these people in our society, and we stick them. We cram these thousands of relatively dysfunctional people into these places we call prisons. But I could, yeah, okay, I had a loving family, Terry. My mum and dad were very poor. They hitchhiked to England from Scotland for a better life. My mum was a cleaner, my dad was a labourer. They worked, they saved, they bought a little smoke black terraced house on a hill in town in Shipley in Yorkshire. My mother was killed when I was 7. It changed the course of our lives. Now that's, I say that not for sympathy or compassion, but how do we become who we become? What? I couldn't imagine now, I'm sitting here next to Terry with you guys, this lovely audience. I couldn't imagine coming amongst you pickpocketing or nicking your mobile phones or mugging you outside for your wallets. I just couldn't imagine doing those sort of things. I was lucky, I met somebody in prison who persuaded me that I had some value. And she was a psychologist, prison psychologist. We have an army of people, by the way, who work in our prisons, trying to get people like me to understand there's a better way to live. And she persuaded me I had some value. And she said, we're all born lovable. And I said, John, her name was John Bradford. I said, even me, even you, we're all born lovable. And it was thanks to that that sort of, I took a different path in life. I gravitated towards decent people in our jails to try and find a value system, a moral sort of compass. And so I don't believe...
But as I remember your story, and I think that it really made an impact on you because your story seemed to me to be so common to many people who find themselves in prison. First of all, you had a happy family. Secondly, there was a death, your mother died. Your father, then, you won't mind me saying this.
You were drunk.
To drunk.
Violent drunk.
Exactly. You ran away from home. You lived in a shelter, in an air raid shelter. You had to fend for yourself.
I did. That's when I was 10.
You then were nicked.
I was. I broke into a sweet shop. Right. When I was 10, got convicted when I was 11, became a criminal. And there's the thing about our criminal justice system. We criminalise 10-year-olds. I think that's too young. I knew the difference between right and wrong. When I broke into that sweet shop, I knew the difference between right and wrong. But I wasn't sure, I wasn't sophisticated enough in my thinking to understand why we should do right rather than wrong. I wanted sweets, so I lobbed a brick through the window, stole them. I knew it was wrong. I never thought about Mr. Man whose shop it was, how he worked to build that shop to feed his family. I didn't have that sort of sophistication. But anyway, they convicted me of burglary. I was sent to a children's home. I was there for nearly 4 years. Left there when I was 15. I just basically drifted for the rest of my life. And until I got to prison, did I find stability and constancy.
And then that just led...
You interviewed me. It did lead to crime. There's no excuse for crime, but how, I was like, I lived on the streets. I lived in the streets for like weeks at a time. I lived rough. I just, air raid shelters, and bus shelters, and motorway service station cafes, and graveyards, allotments. I committed more crime.
What led to your long sentence?
So the long sentence, so I had a couple of, I worked, when I was a teenager, I worked in building sites, and I was a strong lad. So I used to work as a labourer on building sites. I often slept in the building site at the night. I worked in washing up in restaurants. A couple of times a factory hand. I had any more crime. The worst thing that happened to me was, my dad was a drunk, but he was a very popular drunk. So I thought, I'll try this drink thing. And I tried the drink thing, I had a pint. I was about 16. I thought, oh, that's nice. If that's what I mean, I'm busy. I had 2 pints, chat to the barman, because I was the most socially inhibited man you could ever meet. 2 pints, chat to the barman. 3 pints, chat a girl up. 4 pints, I want to fight the world, you know. And it led to all sorts of problematic situations, drunk tanks in police cells, and young offender prisons. I've got to tell you, those young offender prisons, and they're still the same now, by the way. I'm back to the 70s. They were gladiator schools. Who's the toughest? Who's the hardest? Who can lift the most weight? Who can be the most aggressive? You know, they weren't nurturing places. I know I came out of those places more dangerous, Terry, than I was when I went in. But innately, inherently, the fact that I'm sitting here, and I have, you know, I think I've learned compassion. I was not born bad, you know. None of us are born bad. None of us are born inherently criminal. Yeah, I just don't believe that. And anyway, I did sink. And over the years, my criminal behaviour became worse. My violence became more serious. And eventually, in my early 20s, I ended up in a squat in London. And I ended up with this other chap who was a squatter. 2 inadequate characters. And we bolstered each other's inadequacy with bravado and drink and stupidity. We committed crimes together, smashing grabs on wine shops, cutting the heads of parking meters, we were big time, you know, and then mugging people, and it led to the deaths of 2 people. That's why I went to prison for life. I fled the country too.
You got life?
I got life. I got 99 years. So if anybody's thinking, why is he here? He got life. Terry, we'll talk about that.
Well, I think to explain what life means, I think I've got this right. If you're in prison for life, it does mean life. It means when you're released,
it means life.
You're still in captivity. And I went back at the behest of their relatives. Now, just to clear one thing up, my Archbishop Rumsey, did not want me to return because he said it's too dangerous. And you can read all the background to this, the political background, in a book I wrote, which isn't here tonight, called Taken on Trust. All the background is there. There isn't time to go into the detail tonight. I went back, and I said to him, I said, if you don't allow me to go back, I shall have to resign and go. Because it did appear, for reasons that you could read about, that I'd been engaged in duplicity in supplying or enabling weapons to be supplied for the exchange of hostages. Totally false, but that appeared in the press. And I said to the Archbishop, I said, unless I go back and try and clear my name, it's not just me, it's the church as well.
Tell me, where did that come from? I remember that. How is it?
It came from an event called the Iran Conference.
I remember that, but where did you come from into, like, being involved in that thing? Because it was so far removed from you.
Certainly, because if you're a humanitarian negotiator, as I was, and I was, to be quite honest, the only person to be able to get directly to the kidnappers and speak with them. Nobody else did. I knew them. But if you get in that position, you can guarantee that every member of the intelligence services who are connected with that will want to know you. The problem is this: how much do you trust these people? Because if you've any political savvy at all, you will know that governments often have different agendas around these political cases. And they often engage in activities that you yourself would not wish to engage in. Now, in my case, and this is putting it in a nutshell, Oliver North, who was acting on behalf of the President of the United States, came and I met him, but I was very careful because knowing about the duplicity that sometimes is, you have to be careful how much you share and how much you keep to yourself, and I was very careful with that. But what happened was, Iran at the time was fighting the Iran-Iraq war. Iran also was supporting Hezbollah in Lebanon, who were responsible for many of the kidnappings. Unknown to me, Oliver North went to Iran and said, if you will pressure your clients, Hezbollah, to release hostages, we will supply you with arms. They agreed, arms were supplied, one hostage was released, and it looked as though
you were involved in something.
Which was I was involved in that. I knew nothing about it. That's why I went back. And I was, I felt victim to a trick, but I understand it. I was told...
You were betrayed.
I was told that I could go and see a hostage who was about to die. And I said, if I come with you, you'll keep me. They said, no. And I said, I want 24 hours to think about that. And they gave me 24 hours to think about it. And I got different sets of advice, you can imagine. I decided to go back the following night to meet with them. And remember...
Knowing that the worst could happen.
Absolutely. But, you see, don't think that I am full of altruistic motive. You know, always concerned about doing things for other people. Because I think that when we do something for other people, consciously or unconsciously, we're doing something for ourselves.
Of course we do.
And in my case, I felt if I've been given that opportunity, and if I don't go back, I'm going to have to, and the man dies, I'm going to have to live with my conscience. And that's a personal motive. But, you know, I don't think it's necessarily wrong.
But having said that, it's quite good to be good, to have a good notion of humanity, to think that that's what I should do, regardless of the sort of underlying satisfaction
I wouldn't say,
Yeah.
I mean, I've always done the right thing, because I haven't, frankly. But sometimes there comes a point in life, as I'm sure you appreciate, when you say, this is a deciding point. I have either got to stand firmly on what I believe, or walk away from it and be seen as a hypocrite. And that comes occasionally. When I was taken, the hard part was, you know, you go, you have a complete change of clothing, your body is...
They stripped you.
They
humiliated you.
You get a complete change of clothing. You wait in a dark room blindfolded for about 5 days. Then they come at night, take you in a vehicle into an underground car park, I believe, but blindfolded, of course. Told to jump down, there's a trapdoor in the floor, jump down, pushed across the room, and I was in a tiled cell.
Dangerous.
And at that point, my blood ran cold, because I knew...
You knew.
I knew I was captured, and I knew that these cells were tiled because they're easier to clean after people have been knocked around. And I had to face the fact now that no longer was I a negotiator, I was a hostage.
Did you have, in your cell, did you have hot and cold water? Did you have a toilet? Did you have
Nothing.
nothing?
There was a tiled cell which I couldn't stand up in. There was a very primitive shower outside and a generator which generated electricity occasionally. So it was free from building a
It
block.
sounds a bit like Wandsworth Prison.
Actually, you probably could stand up there.
You could have.